Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, I can hear you now.
Perfect. We were waiting for
calling me back.
for Ellie, which she was supposed to be joining. So
Hi, Ellie.
just one moment while Michelle tries to get a hold of her.
Okay. So welcome and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joe Martens, and I am sitting in for Cliff Donaldson today, who's the chair of the audit committee meeting. Cliff had some family business that he had to take care of and had to be out of town. So I'm calling today's audit committee meeting to order at 1:05 p.m. on May 3rd. Thank you all for attending. Welcome the committee members that are there in person, and Ellie, Tatum, and I are remote today. I'm streaming live from the SUNY Albany campus in my daughter's office, and you can see her Harry Potter poster behind me. And to the public, any public that's viewing, thank you for joining us today. As always, please note that the committee meeting is being videotaped. A link to the video and transcription will be posted on the Olympic Authority website following the meeting. And as we start today's items, just remind everybody to please speak as clearly as possible.
Don't know what happened.
No, back on now, right?
Where'd the meeting go?
Where'd you?
We don't know.
Can you rejoin it?
I guess I'm still in it.
I'm still in it.
You're still in it?
No video yet.
Okay, there's video now.
But no audio.
There we go.
Can you
Okay,
hear us?
there-
No
yeah.
one move.
Okay.
Okay, so let's rewind to Renee calling the roll.
Okay. Bill Beanie,
Here.
Frank Cardinal, Joe Martens,
Here?
Cliff Donaldson, Joe Zalewski,
Here.
and Eleanor Tatum.
Here.
We're all
Great.
set.
Thank you. We have a quorum. So the first item for the committee action on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. May I have a motion approving the minutes of our last meeting held June 14th, 2023?
Motion, Joe Zalewski.
Thank you, Joe. Can I have a second?
Second. Bill Beanie.
Thanks, Bill. Bill Beanie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So we just have some discussion items on today's agenda, and I believe, Ashley, you're going to lead us through the discussion with Peggy assisting.
Correct.
So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great.
Good. You can click through it. Okay. There we go. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so just some quick updates. Obviously, we're going to discuss, and Peg will jump in here on some of the audit items, particularly on our auditors. Obviously, with our audits, we want to ensure that all of our processes are accurate, that we are, any areas of improvement are identified, and obviously the goal is to have clean audits each year. It helps us to reduce any risks that we have, make sure that we're working efficiently, that if there's any issues or concerns that arise, that we're looking to address them. And obviously, we want to be compliant with all the requirements. So there has been several years of clean audits, and we continue to go through that process. Go ahead back, Mike. That's good.
So EFPR Group is our current auditor, and this is the fourth of 5-year contract. And in such that their contract ends June 30th of 2025, is our recommendation that January 1st of 2025, we put out an RFP to acquire a new auditing firm. The current firm can apply for this contract, but they would have to switch off the partner because the partner has to rotate every 5 years. So this group could still be our auditing firm. This firm we got obviously 4 years ago, but had great experience in various New York State entities and authorities. So they were fully aware of all of our timelines and all the weirdness that we have to file. So we're very, very pleased with them. Now you can change, Mike. So on February 23rd, Ashley signed the engagement letter to start this current year audit. The fiscal year ended obviously on March 31st. We closed the books on April 22nd and gave the auditors the first run of the trial balance. They were in Lake Placid April 24th, 25th, and 26th doing field work and compliance testing. They are still working on it now remotely from their offices. We are now up to here May 3rd, and just wanted to give you a quick overview of what they found. And they noted no irregularities or concerns. They don't anticipate any delay in getting us the first draft of the audit report, and they anticipate a clean opinion and no management letter items. So we're good and clean. We will present the draft to the audit committee on June 4th, give you a week to look at it before we bring it to the audit committee on June 11th. And then the full board will have their eyes on it June 26th, of which we have until the end of the month to upload the audited financials to the Paris and to the website and all those other items.
A quick overview as we closed out the year and looking at the review of several areas here within that we saw growth in. These are the main areas of growth that we saw across the different departments or within the venues. So snow sports admissions had 3% increase. Overall in the snow sports lessons, we continue to see growth there. One of the things that we're working with all of our snow sports managers on is taking a look at how we're scheduling lessons, what the timing, the frequency, the numbers are so that we can make those more efficient and more profitable over each of the seasons. We saw a continued growth in the ice sport admissions. Probably the largest growth was actually from 21-22 to 22-23, but that continued to grow as more people are utilizing the oval or the public skating sessions. We have added additional programs to, particularly this winter where we had less snow-based opportunities with the climate. We did increase some of the public skating sessions, so that's being reflected here as well. And retail is another one that we want to point out. This continues to grow at all of the venues. The retail team, and remember, this is taken over from the concessionaire. That department continues to grow as we add not only retail locations, we'll be adding an additional one down at Gore with the ski bowl project, but also their offerings and event merchandise as well. And concession commission continues to grow, so working together with our partner Sodexo. The concession commission is only for At the Mountains, but that has been an area of growth despite, again, not a great winter. We did see increased revenue here. Looking overall, again, and you may have seen that there was an article probably about 6 weeks ago. Saranac Lake had started recording weather and climate in 1905. This past winter was the warmest recorded since they started in 1905, particularly with not just the number of swings in the temperature and the climate, but the lengths of the warm stretches that we had. Despite that, the revenue across all of the areas that I showed earlier and a few others continued to grow.
So, yeah. So we've had a much better cash flow over the last 3 years. We got rid of all of our debt and therefore got rid of our interest expense. But over the last 3 years, by paying our workers' comp policy in one chunk instead of over 12 months, we've saved $87,000. Our New York retirement, we actually pay early and get a discount. And over 3 years, we've saved about $55,000. So increase in revenue has helped definitely with the better cash flow and getting rid of the debt and paying things early.
And I think it just speaks to the fiscal responsibility, trying to look at not only ways of trying to grow the revenue, but also looking where we can save, where we can make smart decisions that equate to savings like this. A bit of highlight on a few things that we are seeing on the other side, along with the growth and the year-round activities that we now offer. There are some increased expenses. So on the personal services side, we are investing in our staff and we're adding staff. Last year, we added roughly 200 staff to support the year-round operations. So we're going to see this continue to grow. Also, our contract, our union contract plays a piece in this increase as well. Utilities, these are mostly on the electrical side. The costs, the utility contracts and the electrical contracts go into place in January. So they run on a calendar year. So we'll see the largest impact of those arrangements, which are negotiated and put in place prior to the calendar year. We really see them reflected in the following year. So we knew that this was coming, and we do know that we will expect for next year to have an increase based on the current rates that were negotiated in December of 23. This is a trend that we're seeing with utilities and fuel, so it's an area that we're tracking and aware of as these expenses grow. Talking a little bit about our process and the actions that we take for expenditures. We utilize Intact software. It has multiple platforms and features across across the whole Intact software. It allows us to track every step of the payment or the purchase. So if a venue or a department wants to purchase something, it gets submitted into the software. Depending on the amount of the expense and what it is utilized for, there will be different levels of approval. We're able to go back and track that. There also, if there needs to be multiple bids that were collected and the reasoning for selecting one over another, all of that gets input into the software. So we can go back and look at not only which vendors we're spending money with, but in which categories and departments. It does code everything. So it could be event or venue or department. So we can pull real-time reports on where we are against the budget by department, by venue, and track all of the expenses. So it makes it very easy for us to go back and run reports and pull data to make comparisons across days, months, or years. And there's also a spend management module that we just started to implement that Peggy can talk more about.
So more on what Ashley said, this software is like an auditor's dream because we've captured every step along the way with timestamps and name stamps. So there's no confusion as to who did what, when, and where. Spend management is a new module that we've bolted onto this software, and it gives the venue managers in real time a look at something that they're being asked to approve. They can compare it to what has already been approved for that line item, that budget, that department, and also what's already been encumbered. So things that have been approved but not yet come to invoice. So it's giving them a chance to compare to budget what they've actually spent and have planned to spend, which is awesome. We are also trying to minimize the state's, we're trying to safeguard the state's assets. And one of the things we just implemented is a thing called payment protection reports. And every morning, someone from finance goes on and looks at everything that has been presented for payment at the bank level. Compare that to our books, and we approve those to be cleared out from the bank. This doesn't negate the bank from doing their due diligence, looking for fraudulent checks, but we're doing our part in office as well. We also are moving over to paying our vendors as many as we can through ACH, automated clearinghouse. This way, we're not mailing checks, they're not getting lost or stolen along the way. And just as a note, the finance staff is all cross-trained, we back each other up. So the person who normally checks the bank every day, if she's sick or on vacation, someone else can do it, as well as other processes in the finance office. We're all cross-trained. So just a heads up, on your June 11th audit committee meeting, we're going to present to you a new accounts receivable policy. The policy that's in place is dated back to 2012. So it needs time to have a little refresh. We want to take a look at how we manage accounts that are overdue and the thresholds of when we send to collections and when we can write them off. So be on the lookout for that new policy.
And lastly, we want to thank and congratulate Peggy on her 21 years at ORDA. We will sadly be saying goodbye to her on July 3rd. She likes to say Independence Day. But we will be posting the position, and we're very happy that Peg will be a part of that, and we hope to have quite a bit of overlap for a transition. But thank you to Peggy.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Becky. Great job. Great job.
That's it.
So great. Thank you both for that great report, and that I know I already knew it was coming, but the very sad news on our behalf that Peggy is leaving us, and what a day to leave on. The day before Independence Day. I'm sure you're going to feel a very newfound independence on July 4th this year. It will have new meaning for you, Peggy, but thank you on behalf of myself, the rest of the committee, and ORDA at large. We'll have plenty of time to extend our thanks to you, I'm sure, before June 3rd rolls around, but, or excuse me, July 3rd rolls around. We don't want to accelerate that by a day. So if I could use the chair's prerogative and just ask a couple of questions. Can you go back to the slide that had the percentage increases? And if it may not be a fair question, Ashley, but I'm wondering if you can put some of those big increases into some perspective for us. We obviously had, 3 rocky years during the pandemic where, revenues may not have been historically consistent, but some of the increases look pretty dramatic. And I'm just wondering if you could provide a little context about
Is that the one month or the one before?
how they happen, particularly attractions and activities at 22%, event revenue 46%. Is that, is that as big of an anomaly as it looks like, or is that just a reflection of, we had 3 years of pandemic preceding it?
Yeah, I can answer some of those, and I may have to rely on some others for the more historical ones. But on the snow sports side in particular, we had record numbers on season passes. So I would gather the large increase is probably there on the season passes, but that's admissions to the mountains. So the growth, like this year, for example, at Gore, we reached over 11,000 ski passes. It's the first time we've exceeded 11,000. So most of the growth is related to that. On the lessons, that's a smaller increase, but a lot of that is taking a look at the efficiencies on how we are scheduling a lot of the lessons. So trying to make sure that we've got the right numbers. We're not sending out a group lesson with only one skier in it. So a lot of, operational and management applications there that are helping us to be more profitable. On the, I guess, let me take a look here. On the event revenue, we have seen larger events and events that are being either marketed or they're just more popular. We have increased on some of the events, the ticket prices, particularly in World Cup ski jumping. We've just seen a large amount of interest in that event. And also the number of events that we offer. That has grown quite a bit and is continuing to grow. Putting together the calendar for next year, even though we had a packed calendar this year, we're going to have additional ones added. So the popularity and really the increased number of events that we are hosting and selling tickets to.
Great.
And Joe, if there's any other particular questions, I'm happy to try and answer them or kick them to, Emily's got quite a bit of background on this too.
Can you explain ice sport admissions versus hockey tournament? Is hockey tournament considered event revenue?
No, it's probably split between, do we code it to event or venue rentals? Do you know, Peg?
I don't know.
On the inside.
Probably both. Yeah.
It could be split among both,
Ice time
but
is
the
different.
ice sport admissions is public skating and oval.
So that's that definite category. So that doesn't include any hockey revenue.
No, that would be, I don't know if some of depending on the hockey one, it could be split between event or venue rental.
Because I think because you separated that out, I think that would be helpful.
Clarify that terms and use an ice sport, because I was thinking like you were. Yeah.
It's in ice sports.
Yeah.
Or if hockey's big enough, which I presume it is, it could have its own category.
And well, it's probably, there's several layers to this as well. We could break it out. It is broken out by Olympic Center rental.
Mm-hmm.
We can go a layer back and take a look at that versus,
Right.
just a straight rental of space.
So Ashley, again, along the similar lines, when you talked about expenditures growing and the personnel is an obvious one, on the energy side, I'm wondering, and you don't need to address this now, but what we're doing to reduce energy costs. I realize the cost of energy is going up, but the obvious way to combat that is use less energy. Number one, again, we've invested in solar products at Gore and Whiteface. And, I'm curious whether there's opportunities to expand that, thinking again to the long term, that energy costs are likely to continue to go up over time. And we are a big energy user. So I am always curious about, what we can do to actually, help moderate those increases by reducing the amount of fuel we use.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the continued investments in the efficient snowmaking obviously helps tremendously. So it's more of that. It's paying attention to the timing and the usage, tracking that, which, we take a good look at. And then also trying to invest in alternate energy resources. But we can provide more detail too. But it's certainly something that is, it's as you can see, a huge expense, and one that, everything we're hearing and seeing is that it's not going to go down. So we need to be able to manage our usage so that we can help manage our budget.
Yep. Thank you. Other questions for Ashley and Peggy? So hearing none, I think that concludes the business of today's committee meeting. We obviously have a lot of information coming up, and our next committee meeting is just down the road, a little over a month. So are there any other items that we'd like to discuss before I entertain a motion to adjourn? So hearing none, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Eleanor Tatum.
Thank you, Ellie.
Second, Joe Zalewski.
Thank you, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The meeting is adjourned at 1:29 p.m. on May 3rd, 2024. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate seeing you, albeit remotely.